I'm from Deconfused, and today I have the pleasure of giving you a tour of my self-converted home, which I call Captain. When I decided that I would like to attend secondary education 3 years ago, I was looking for a new home for myself, and I decided I would love to live in a mobile home. And that's when I bought this van, and since then I have basically been working on the conversion of this model. All the ideas and my thoughts that went into it I will be able to present to you today. So what I would like to start with is to show you all the design principles that went into the making of this module. Very early in the planning phase I already knew that there were 3 basic design principles that I wanted to incorporate into this build. First, I wanted to make sure that everything was planned for me as one person. I want to accommodate guests sometimes, but all the ideas and all the functionalities have to revolve around me living in here. I didn't want to make any drawbacks to be able to accommodate more people. Secondly, I wanted to make sure that this van is a stealth camper, basically just to ensure that I can have my everyday life in here, eating, working, whatever I have to do, without being disturbed all the time, and obviously just for my privacy, as nobody wants to be bothered and watched all the time when living at home. With the third principle, I wanted to make sure that I didn't modify my furniture all the time. So even though this is a relatively small space compared to some similar builds, I don't have any furniture that needs to be modified all the time. I can still, for example, pull out my bed or stow away my table, which we'll get into later. That's only for special occasions, and generally I can just leave the build as it is, and I don't have to modify anything all the time. When planning the layout, I already knew that I wanted to have most of my furniture basically in one very big wall on the side. This would allow me to have this very elongated open space in here, which just makes it a lot nicer to live inside and gives me a lot of air to breathe basically. So one module that doesn't follow this rule, as you can see, is basically my table construction. At the beginning I had one very long table that would give me a lot of space to eat and work on. But I decided really early on that I didn't need that much space to work with. So I just shortened the table, and instead I decided to go with the storage element over here. Basically just to give me a few more options for storage and some small things that don't really have a space otherwise in this van. The table is convertible, so all I have to do is basically press 2 small buttons on the underside of the table, and I can just collapse it away. So it folds nicely into the space. It still allows you to access the power outlets that's currently located behind the table. Let's look at something really basic next. So my storage compartments. Above my bed I have 4 shelves, which are just closed with doors. And below my bed I have 4 drawers that open. Let's start with those. So in the first drawer, as you can see, there's only some kitchenware. They are not organized as of yet, but that's on my to-do list, so I want to build something to make sure that they're all really nicely organized. The second drawer contains some additional kitchenwares, but also some stuff like spices and some things for cooking. I also have this very small medical bag in here, just to make sure that I can treat anything that might come up while on the road. So the third drawer contains some clothes of mine. I have enough clothes for about 3 weeks. The second part of my clothes is kept in a small drawer below the kitchen. There are some other clothes in there and also some specialty stuff that I don't need that often as this. So the fourth drawer only contains my laundry, basically in this basket right here, that I can just take out from the backside, so I don't have to actually get inside the van. So let's continue with the storage compartments above the bed. So starting from the back, this is what I call my office. In here I store all my electronic devices within these neat little boxes. And I also have all my paper stuff in here, because if you live in your van, there's going to be some paper stuff that you'll just have to carry around all the time. And I wanted to make sure that I always have it with me. So this compartment is what I call my guest room. There's only stuff in here that I don't really need. So I can remove everything if I want to accommodate some guests, and they can put their stuff in here. Third shelf contains my swimming gear basically, and also some towels which I might need. Below that I store all the bed sheets. As you will see later, my bed actually has 2 different modes, and I just wanted to make sure that I have everything I need. The fourth shelf contains only my hobby stuff. So in here you'll find my photography gear, you'll find some wine glasses and some spray paints, just to make sure that I can live all my hobbies basically. So I only use the wine glasses every day basically, and the rest is only here to impress people, but the wine glasses get used a lot. Behind my bed you'll find these two closet compartments. One is basically only dedicated to my kitchen, and this one in between, which we're going to look at now, is also part of my general storage. So in the top I have all my clothes and all my jackets that need to be hanged, basically. In between there's a big drawer where I keep all my tools, just to make sure that I can repair any problem that might come up while on the road. And I have a big mirror in here, which you'll definitely need a big mirror all the time when living in a van, so I want you to make sure that I have one. And just below you'll find my electronics. I have two very big batteries that each have 220 amp hours of power storage. I have 300 watts of solar on the roof, just to make sure that they're always as full as possible. On the left side you can see my power inverter, which is used to push 12 volt to 230 volt, basically what I use for example for my laptop. I have power outlets behind my table, as I told you before, and you'll also find a small outlet above my bed, and also two additional USB boxes. Just behind the inverter there's my 12 volt net, which is routed all across the van to be used for things like my lights in the van. The last storage compartment we have to look at is located above the driver's cabin. I call this one my attic, basically because I store in there only the things I don't need that often, for example my sleeping bag and tents and also some instruments. Let's take a look at my kitchen now. So the top part of my kitchen is dedicated only to my fridge. This is a special fridge which consumes very little electronic power, and I don't use any gas at all in this van, so a gas fridge was just not an option for me. My main kitchen module is actually a pull-out, so you'll open this compartment down here and you can just pull out the kitchen. You get the work area where you can cut things, and the faucet folds up and works also with electricity, and there's fresh water and grey water reserve on the bottom. So as I told you before, the bed can actually be converted into a different mode for two-person usage. For that we'll first have to remove the table, and then we'll have to disconnect the safety pins, which are located below the frame. That allows us to pull out the bed frame, and then we can just put the pins back into position, and we'll have to make sure that the wooden support is in position, and then we can just open up the mattress and make sure that it's firmly put into the right position. And if we put the correct sheets on there, we'll usually get a very beautiful view out the back on whatever scenery we're currently living in. This means that the frame is actually free floating. I always wanted to make sure that my van is a stealth camper. This had some implications for the big windows that I have, and they are all blacked out. This means a lot less light is coming in around the daytime, which I can demonstrate basically by just opening one of the doors. As you can see, the difference is pretty huge. So having enough light in this van was a very big concern, even with those very big windows. So I installed two roof windows 2 meters apart inside the living compartment to make sure that there's enough light in here to brighten up the room. So the design of the van was very important to me. So one of the challenges I faced was coming up with an opening and closing solution, and I wanted to incorporate some kind of leather as it works well with my wood. So I have these straps that I can just pull on. For that to work I needed a small retracting mechanism, which I hid inside these wooden panels. Most other mechanics are not quicker than mine. I pretty much can undo them and close them within 1 to 2 seconds. If you are watching this video, chances are you're thinking about getting into van life yourself. So if this is the case, I really hope that my thoughts and my design ideas help you spark some inspiration for your personal build. And let me leave you with these words. For me personally, van life hasn't always been the easiest decision, and there have been times where I really doubted this build. But overall, this has been one of the best decisions that I've made so far. And I would tell anyone thinking about it to just go for it and try it for yourself, because it might be one of your best decisions that you'll ever make. If you like this video, make sure to show so below the video. And if you want to see more like this, follow Vanlifeisawesome on YouTube, and if you want to see more of my personal adventures, make sure to hit me up on Instagram. Link will be below.